Sorry. Jokes are really slow today, guys. I mean, like, I got snot running out of my nose. It's not pretty up here. No one even laughed at that. See, that's how bad it is. It's just gross, really.
So what's...
Thank you. Hey, someone imported one. Where was that from, sir? Well, not you yourself. Oh, you yourself. I know who you are. All right. Anyone else bring anything to throw? You can just get it out of the way now. No. Anyone know why he threw that? Schmalls. All right. Hey, if you don't know what a schmooball is or aren't familiar with the physical manifestation of the bullshit flag, hey, who's giving out the bullshit flags, by the way? Have people seen those? Yeah. Yeah. Where are those coming from? Can you understand that?
What's that?
What'd they say?
No idea.
Feds.
Feds.
The feds. The feds are supplying the bullshit flags? That seems a little strange. Is that, so that's how feds are being tagged this year? With little bullshit flags? You need to explain this, I'm asking a question. This is not helpful. What?
They have a surplus of bullshit.
They have a surplus of bullshit. So who's giving them the bullshit flags? I'm trying to find out the source of the bullshit flag, not the source of the bullshit itself. They. You just keep using pronouns. All right, we're done. I don't even care. It's the feds were calling bullshit and putting bullshits on themselves. Oh my God. All right, we're done. Go ahead.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
All right. So after the parser's done, it basically shoves all that data that it just parsed into a database. Pretty standard MySQL database, right? These are essentially the tables that we use for this.
Fairly normalized is a really technical term, unlike like say third normal order, which is really loose. You don't really understand it for the database weenies.
I didn't want to say it was actually in third normal form because you would have tried to call me out on that.
Yeah, well, I would have tried to call you out, like made you prove it with like diagrams, which would have gotten ugly.
All right, and from there we built a TurboGears front end on it. This was the source of many long nights of coding. TurboGears is supposed to be easy, but when you start adding Ajax and you try to do things with jQuery, it's like trying to solve a mystery as to how that thing works. But in the end, it came out really well, and pretty happy with it.
Well, he is now. When he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't happy. Like he was a little grumpy for a few days because of like going to bed at 4:30 in the morning and getting up at 7 to go to work. So.
Yeah, there was one phone call in particular that probably shouldn't have had. So yeah, and from here on out, you know, as we develop this more, we want to add just essentially code to just tie this all together very well. So, and more repos, of course.
All right, sweet. So the end result of all that is a website that you can't get to right now. Woohoo! That is proper DEFCON form. Just in case you're wondering if you're going to submit a talk to DEFCON, the proper form is, well, we did the work, here's most of the results, but we still have to finish it up, so it's not ready yet, you can't download it. Or you just get up really drunk and rant and have some woman in like a bikini next to you and no one pays attention apparently, so. Anyway, so parse all flat flyers, commits, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we went for dirty words, first of all, because we're like little kids, and you want to see how often people say fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck. And first, before we get onto that, actually, moving on to more sophistical grammatical analysis where we use things that have spaces in it.
Regex.
And regex, yeah, so we actually do have some regex stuff. Implemented and you'll be able to use once we get it online. Mostly that's what we're worried about right now because we don't want y'all ponying our server. We start asking people, oh, enter regex and we're going to go throw it into MySQL database and hope for the best. We already had some instances where people in the commit statements, and I will challenge you, I'll just put this challenge out there. The commit statements then, when they get returned to the screen, will get not really escaped properly, and so there was actually like markup language inside the commit statement, so I was reading one and there was a text input box right in the middle of the screen. Like, that doesn't bode well. So, just to be clear, once we do light this critter up, I would challenge you, if you know what things we're tracking, try to get yourself onto that task, onto that project, then put in a malicious commit statement just to see if we get owned. Like, this is a whole new attack vector, owning assholes by commit statements. So, We were going to do a demo, but the inner tubes suck, so instead we're just going to show you. It is a web page. There's a browser. It's called Safari, and we took a picture, and it's not photoshopped. I swear to God. Before we get to this, can anyone tell me the 7 dirty words? Everyone's just mumbling. It's like Tourette's now. Fuck, 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 fuck. There's a shit in there. Motherfucker and fucker, or motherfucker and fuck were separate words in George Carlin's 7 dirty words. Which, as a purist, you think that's just a derivative, right? Like, you just, you derive the first order, like, of motherfucker, and you get fuck, and you derive it again, and it's null, and alright. Calculus humor for someone that hasn't taken calculus in 12 years. It probably wasn't even using it. He's like, it's an integral, you jackass. You did it backwards. Anyway, so we took the 7 dirty words and we made a histogram out of it in numbers, not Excel. Woohoo! Steve Jobs forever. Woo! It turns out that out of 36 frickin' repositories that we grabbed, including things like TCP dump and Apache, people only said fuck in the comments 15 times. Boo is right, people. Like, if you're part of an open source project, please swear more, because this got really boring. Like, we ran the results and we're like, ah, crap. We're gonna have to put some in just to make it exciting. And the lower order ones, the ones at the bottom, like tits, motherfucker, those never even made the list, man. There's a lot of comments, and not once. And I think, honestly, like, if you're swearing and you're angry, typing motherfucker's a lot of work. Because you're going to typo it 2 or 3 times, and eventually you're like, screw it, fuck, there, we're done. Look at that, I derived motherfucker. The open source hackers and pussies, exactly. So here now we look for, we created our own slightly more generic dirty words. They're willing to say hell a bit more, but this is still a fantastically small number of swear words. People giggling at the last one, for the ones that get that. No one had committed that either, so as long as you're going after trying to pwn us through commit statements and comments, you might as well go and drop some Liget bombs in there too. Liget bomb, that's right, I said it. In commits we got a little more aggressive. We said fuck a little bit more, still not like at least in every project, but 4 or 5 times more, shit came out a lot more. And then the other ones, hell. What the hell is this? Hell, 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 hell. It's like a Bart Simpson's episode. Hell, 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 hell. You all seen that clip when, how the hell can I talk about hell without saying hell? Yeah, it's like Simpsons season 2. You gotta be kind of old and gray hair and shit to remember that. Anyway, and it's still not that interesting. So we started to look at code quality comments. How often did people say, this code sucks, or this is quite a hack? Well, on average, at least once per every project, someone said hack. Some of them had it a lot. It was like hack, 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 hack. And stupid, and blah, and bork, and suck. These are areas that we started to focus on. When people actually said, this is a hack, hey, guess what? We're gonna go look at that. Commit statements, people became even more, I guess, pointed. Hack wasn't used as much as stupid. Which I think is a little more aggressive terminology. People started to call things stupid in commit statements. And really and we went back and we read a lot of the results here. And what we found is developers are more likely to make emotional comments in the commit statements, presumably because they assume commit statements don't get put in your .tar.gz and shipped, right? The commit statements just kind of stay in a database somewhere and you presume no one's going to read them. And that's why we took our flashlight out and tried to, it helps if you make the noise. Big fan of making noise, because then later on it ends up on YouTube. Hey, look what this jackass did on stage. Whee! Thank you. Hey, is anyone wearing that shirt right now? Because I will punch you in the face. Trying to be polite about it. It's DEFCON. We stand in lines before we punch people in faces. So there was some randomly funny stuff. All caps always is a win. So, fuck you for supporting that stupid behavior. You got 2 of our dirty words in 1 sentence. I thought that was nice. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Somebody blaming the cold meds. The CGI IRC, which should scare you in its own right as a program. It's an IRC that's written in CGI. Pwning boxes through IRC to messages, right? Go find a bug in this thing and then just type the right command in the IRC channel and watch the guy's box, the web server get pwned. Like, that's a fun attack vector. But he had things like nasty hack to make the angry smiley work. Then there was another hack to make another type of smiley work. Like, this guy had a problem making smileys work in an IRC program. I thought you just displayed : parenthesis. Is it any more complicated than that? Also, one person was kind enough to point out that moose were better than ponies. Woo! Oh, that was saying moose, not booing, right, sir? Okay, good, because if it was a boo, there was going to be a problem. We are big moose fans, as it turns out. Not so much of the ponies. Ponies are nice. Moose, they're for real people. Anyway, do you guys know why you get Outlook messages from Outlook users that have J's in them for smileys? No. Have any people noticed that behavior? It's because frickin' Outlook converts the smiley to the wingding smiley, which is the letter J in the wingdings alphabet. And when it gets sent out, and you don't have the wingdings loaded, the wingdings like the inner tubes, then you get a J, because that apparently is that character that they used. So it's really annoying. Unicode, bane of my existence. Again, the guy that flunked out of computer science. Holy shit. All right, so people are angrily yelling drunken things. People are leaving the room. Goodbye, sir. Oh, it's the AV guy leaving the room, I think, isn't it? Yeah, hey, he's done. He's like, I'm out. This is bullshit. I broke the microphone. So we found our first result in the first 5 minutes, which was lucky, because again, when you unload Pandora's box on this, when you say, we're going to do all this stuff and do this, have this ready for DEFCON, and it's 3 days before DEFCON, we're like, huh, we don't even have a completed code yet, but I guess I'm going to start digging through the database and see if we could find anything. I was a little worried that we wouldn't find anything, so we did. What we found off the bat here was looking for the word lame, and we found this phrase that said, this is kind of lame, but only exploitable by people who could log in. How serious could that be? And what was interesting about this bug is not only did we find it in one project, we found it in 6 different projects. And what happened was, there's a bunch of Ruby developers working on these social networking projects, trying to make the next Facebook, Twitter, you know, chat roulette is my asshole kind of thing. And dude, someone was running chat roulette in a room today at 10 a.m. Was anyone there? I saw references to it online that someone actually had. Was there anything disturbing? Yeah, like, that just seems like a lawsuit. Like, I mean, showing porn to a room of people like that, you know, you just don't know what you're gonna get. Like, oh, I didn't know gerbils would do that. Not appropriate, ever, let alone at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. So, anyway, so these guys are all working on these social networking projects, and what they did is they just shared the code, and it wasn't like they created a common library. Like, I mean, I flunked out of CS again, but I, you know, can see the value in libraries because you can update them, and they get updated independently of the frickin' software. Woo-hoo. No, they just cut and pasted. Like, whoop, cut, paste, that looks good, including the comment that says, kind of exploitable. And so what we found was this, and even more verbose, only exploitable people who could log in anyway, so presumably not too big of a security hole. It allowed you, as long as you had an account and you were using HTTP auth to get in, you could look at anything that anyone had protected anywhere in their social networking sites that they built with Ruby on Rails. Which, again, I mean, come on, we've seen Facebook do it, so everybody, the cool kids have to do it when they start the new projects. And, like, I can appreciate that, but it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. What we found, and this is part of the tool, is we track what versions of the pieces of software that contain the comments and contain the commit statements, or at least eventually the commit statements. Commit statements are a little bit harder to tie to specific versions at the moment, but the comments. And so we could go through and say, hey, where does this comment still exist? And a number of the projects out of the 6 that we found, a couple of them had nuked the file altogether, but there are still a few projects out there that today have this chunk of code in their live production systems. So, you know, we found a bug, we found a security vulnerability, drop an O-Day at DEFCON, old school style. Kapow! Giggle. Come on, guys! You don't get to see O-Day, this is really lame O-Day. It's not Charlie Miller O-Day, but it's O-Day, come on. Yeah, what's O-Day themselves? Like, that's the finer point, right? Like, is it O-Day if you said it, like, hey, look, it's a security vulnerability, like all we did was grep, but yeah, we're calling it O-Day. We're bad like that. What else did we find? So we found, so this is Puppet's a framework for automating sysadmin tasks, and this one's interesting because they fixed it, but again, presumably not everyone deploys the latest version, and part of the purpose here is to be able to determine specific versions of software that maybe you don't have easy access to right now, but we want to go find, are there issues with, you know, I'm at some client site and they're running an old version of Puppet. In this case, they had just migrated to REST from XML RPC.